How many of you think I need this chair? It's okay, you can raise your hand. Okay, how about now? I got sick in October of 2016, fall of my senior year of high school, almost 3 years ago. I woke up, jumped in the shower, was running late per usual, barely noticing how I was feeling. My mom, as I was running around looking for my shoes, my mom stopped me, and we both realized my heart was racing, I couldn't catch my breath, I couldn't slow anything down. I spent the next 2 days in the hospital. Multiple labs, tests, x-rays, EKGs, you name it. I was even sent home from the hospital wearing a portable heart monitor. Everyone agreed that something was wrong, but no one could figure out what. Weeks went by, and I continued to have the same symptoms. We saw so many doctors, I lost count. Meanwhile, I was trying to convince myself and everyone around me that I was fine. I insisted on going to football games, as I had been in marching band all throughout high school, and I wanted to finish out my senior season. The first and last game I went to, after getting sick, ended with me in an ambulance. In December of 2016, I was finally given a diagnosis of POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. POTS is a disorder of your autonomic nervous system. That means everything that your body controls for you subconsciously. This includes breathing, heart rate, digestion, even the contraction and dilation of your pupils. Basically, my body doesn't know how to appropriately control these functions. They either happen too quickly, too slowly, or not at all. So while you're sitting there comfortably, my heart's beating out of my chest, not because I'm nervous, but because my body doesn't know how to appropriately control these things. I have what doctors call an invisible illness. If I had not brought my chair out here, I bet you would not have thought I was talking about disabilities. It's an illness that you can't see from the outside. Right now, you can't see the extreme fatigue, the chronic pain, my heart racing, dizziness, and sweating because I can't control my body temperature or my blood pressure. And that's only the beginning. If I ever get a cold or strep, I like to call it normal people sick, I end up in the hospital. I look completely healthy on the outside, and that's why people have such a hard time believing just how sick I am. It's a reminder that you have no idea what someone is going through, and that a disability is not defined by what you can see on the outside. I'm not here to say how grateful I am I got sick. It's been almost 3 years, and I still grieve for what I once had, the body that could do anything and everything. No, I'm not grateful for my illness, but I would be lying if I said I wasn't grateful for the opportunities it's given me, the opportunities of a lifetime. I never once thought about accessibility or disability rights until I had to face it myself. Now, it's my passion to spread awareness on campus and fix whatever accessibility issues I find. And I never would have had this opportunity to speak to you or teach my close friends and family about what it means to be disabled, that you don't have to be old and drive slowly, that you don't have to use a mobility device all the time, and that you certainly don't have to explain yourself when people believe you're faking. Being disabled just means a part of your body doesn't work. I don't want to sugarcoat it and say it doesn't make you different from anyone else, because it does. It limits you. Yes, there are things I can't do. It's a fact that I can't go rock climbing right now. But it's also a fact that I can wear high heels and my feet will never hurt. A disability does limit you, but it opens your eyes to the disability community, disability rights, and the current lack of basic accessibility. And in my opinion, that's so much greater than rock climbing. People say you should put yourself in other people's shoes and you can see what they go through. Before I got sick, I thought accessibility was following ADA laws and having a couple of disabled parking spaces outside your business. I thought you were born with a chronic illness or somehow got it from a trauma. I didn't believe that you could wake up one day and be sick for the rest of your life. I didn't believe that a simple tick bite could cause Lyme disease for the rest of your life. I didn't know that disability is the world's largest minority. Think about it. How often have you heard disabled people brought into the conversation about equality and freedom? Almost never. Have you ever stopped outside a business, made sure it was ADA accessible, that there was a ramp to the entrance? Probably not. Because I didn't take 1 second to think about it in the 17 years I was healthy. We love to talk about jobs and unemployment, but did you know that only 36% of disabled people are employed, while 76.6% of able people are employed? That's a difference of over 40%. That means that I have a 40% less chance of getting a job than the average able person. Tell me how that's fair when we're the ones drowning in medical bills. The statistics for disabled people are very scary. The gap between average income of an able person and a disabled person is a difference of $10,000. When will you open your eyes and see that we are in trouble? We're getting cut from health insurance because of pre-existing conditions. About a year ago, there was a scare in the government about a bill being passed into law that would allow insurance agencies to not cover people with pre-existing conditions. That meant that as soon as I got kicked out of my parents' insurance, I would have no insurance. That I would be paying thousands of dollars out of pocket for my daily medications and forget all my ER trips. That I would never be able to get insurance or ever be able to afford it. At some point, we've got to stand up and say no. Disabled people have been fighting these battles for such a long time, and no one is listening to us. No one is being an ally, and no one is handing us the microphone. I sincerely appreciate you handing me the microphone today. In order for able people to be our allies, we must break the stigmas together. Here are the ones I continuously face. Number one, we reserve the right to be identified respectfully and how we wish. I use the words disabled and sick to describe myself. Why are you so afraid to? Disability is not a bad word. Treating it like one is minimizing my illness. I think that able people are afraid to use it around us because it might be considered offensive. Now, I'm not at liberty to speak for the entire disabled population, but for a large majority of us, avoiding the word feels disrespectful and shameful because it feels like you're dismissing our disability. I don't want to be called specially capable, special needs, or even handy-capable because it isn't special. Sure, I don't want to be completely defined by my illness, but it's a part of my identity, and I'm not ashamed of that. I have a disability, I am disabled, and I've gone to hell and back to deserve that title. Number two, wheelchairs are not a bad thing. Mine gives me the freedom to go to Publix, to go to the mall, to do something all day that I wouldn't be able to handle without it. I don't want your pity or sympathy just because I'm in a chair. I am not automatically pitiful or helpless because I get around on wheels. Why is that always the assumption? Also, I am not bound to my wheelchair. I like to use the metaphor with glasses. You are limited in your vision. I am limited in my mobility. You use glasses to see. They help you live and learn just like someone who has 20/20 vision. You are not glasses bound. Thus, I use my wheelchair to compensate for where my body lacks in mobility. It's simply a tool I use for my freedom. It's not a bad thing. Number three, wheelchairs are not only used for people who are paralyzed or have limited use of their legs. I actually get really scared if I stand up from my wheelchair. I know people are judging because before I got sick, I did the exact same thing. Why would they be using a wheelchair if I just saw them stand up and walk a couple feet? Because that's probably the extent of what that person could do. For me, I use my wheelchair for pain and fatigue. On a bad day, or on a good day, I don't need my chair at all. On a bad day, I can barely move my legs, let alone walk. Some days, I need help walking to the bathroom, while other days, I can work a full 8-hour shift. To be completely honest with you, I am terrified of people who have seen me like this to see me in my chair and vice versa. I should not be afraid of this. But society has trained me, and society has trained every single one of you, that disability looks a certain way. If you use a wheelchair, you must be paralyzed and use one 24/7. If you're blind, you must have no vision and use a walking cane 24/7. This is the idea we need to change. For stigma number 4, we have in the disability community what we like to call inspiration porn. It's when a disabled person is objectified and used strictly for inspiration for an able person's gain. An example of this would be a disabled college graduate who consistently uses a wheelchair, who gets up and walks to receive his diploma. He would receive enormous amounts of praise. But why? Because he walked? Because he overcame something? Because it's a miracle? Because he probably caused more damage to his body, more pain and fatigue, just to make you feel better. Why does it make you feel better? Because he's somehow less disabled than he was before? He's somehow more normal now? No. We will still be disabled, and we will still not conform to what your idea of normal is. This is our normal, and it should not make you uncomfortable. And we should not force ourselves to get out of our wheelchairs to appease you, to make you cheer louder, congratulate us more, and for what? Basically make you feel better about yourselves. These stigmas are extremely harmful to the disabled community. Fear of people accusing us of faking keeps us indoors and not wanting to leave our houses. This fear also keeps us from using our disabled parking permits for fear people will yell at us saying we're not disabled or we're not disabled enough. I have even had an FSU police officer question me about the validity of my permit because, quote, kids like to use their parents' permits. The accessibility barriers just keep going up, and the people who are supposed to be helping and protecting us conform to the same stigmas. The stigmas are wrong and ableist. Before any work gets done to change them, we have to change our minds first. Once that's done, everything else is possible. Once you accept the fact that disabled people don't perfectly fit into a box, just like any other minority, we can change. Thank you.